What's going on, and welcome back to another episode of the Fuel Your Vision podcast. Today's guest is a former teacher turned entrepreneur with a burning desire to go out there and create massive impact around the world, as well as facing some of his own what seemed impossible challenges in life. He started the globally known brand Achieve the Impossible. The ATI brand has over 1 million followers on Instagram, and because of that, he's been able to branch out into new areas, such as launching his own podcast, creating his own app in the App Store, landing global speaking gigs, as well as launching a top-selling ATI book. Our guest today is a super high energetic person, someone I'm extremely excited to bring on today's show because of his eternal optimistic outlook on life, as well as being an absolute visionary. So help me in welcoming today's guest, Peter Bone. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about life challenges and what you can do to equip yourself to face them and how everybody goes through them. We're also going to be talking about the power of influence in today's society, as well as his journey and his road to 1 million followers on Instagram and giving you some cool tactics. Last but not least, we're going to be diving into what faith looks like in his business and in his everyday life. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did. This guest was a lot of fun. Peter is absolutely amazing. We'll see you inside. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fuel Your Vision podcast with your host, Alex Lombard. I'm super stoked for today's guest. This guy is so high energy, as I talked about a minute ago. But one thing that's awesome, man, is we've known each other for quite a long time, and I want to give on Instagram. But this is the first time that we've actually connected face to face. And so before we jump into all the different things, because you're like the Instagram king, dude. I've known you for a long time on there. Right away, what I want to start with is having you just kind of dive into your story prior to Instagram and everything you've been doing with your brand, with Achieve the Impossible, which we're going to talk about today, and all the different things you have going on. So let's start there, my man. Let's jump into this. Peter from Down Under, out in Australia, absolutely crushing it. Super excited to have you on here, man. Let's go ahead and jump into your story, dude. Give people a little background on who you are and kind of what you do.
Bro, first and foremost, thank you so much. That introduction is very, very nice, and I'm humbled and grateful for it. This entire journey, I would have liked to say it was all mapped out by me perfectly and it worked to a T. But as with anything in life, you have a set direction and it's just one step after the other. And then at times like this, you do kind of look back and just go, oh my gosh. Like, it's crazy to think the steps that have brought me to where I am today. So, first of all, thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
And introducing me, it's an absolute honor. And I guess I love that question. What was life like before Instagram? A lot of people know me now through Instagram. I'm reaching more people now than I ever have, especially before Instagram. So I do love exploring the foundation. So I'd always, growing up and through my teenage years, I'd always loved inspiring people. It was a passion of mine. And to be honest, I didn't really know how that would look out and play out in a life or a career or anything moving forward. I had very slight interest in business, slight interest in people. And I guess that led me to teaching. I was almost headhunted and people who knew me thought, right, this is going to be an amazing career choice for you. You love people, you love organising, you love planning and things like that. So I went into teaching. So I was a kindergarten teacher for about 8 years, both in New Zealand and here in Australia. During that time, I moved across the ditch, as a lot of New Zealanders do, which is amazing, to enjoy the warmer weather of Australia. And I was teaching, and while I was teaching, I was passionate about it. I loved what I was doing. I loved the community. I loved the family. I loved the kids. I loved everything about it. But there was something deep down that I thought, this isn't going to be my final job or my last career. And while I was doing that, I was really intentional to be fueling that little flickering flame within me. And I was doing that through brainstorming ideas, through setting big goals, through writing down things, and continually, I guess, putting things that inspired me in front of me. whether it was lifestyle things, whether it was business things, whether it was to do with faith or personal development, I'd always be feeding myself through books, podcasts, messages, whatever it is that I felt that lit that flickering flame. And even when I was doing a job that I saw at the time wasn't exactly aligning with exactly the career moving forward or a business idea moving forward that I had, it was still that personal development, spending time investing in myself was a major, major key part. And I was prepared so that when the opportunity did come, and that opportunity for me that led me into Instagram was a very unfortunate thing looking from the outside, and it was an awful thing for myself and my family and my loved ones to have to go through. But it was a diagnosis that my dad had of cancer, and he was given 4 months to live because of a really, really aggressive pancreatic cancer that doctors discovered just on a completely random routine checkup. He was, his health. I think it was something for blood pressure that he initially went into. And so his health was improving and improving and improving. We thought, this is amazing. Dad's, crushing life. He was, I think, 61 or 62 at the time. And we thought, this is great. And then that routine scan and blood test, came home and Mum and Dad sat me down in the living room at their house and just said, Pete, don't quite know how to say this, but Dad's got cancer. And that conversation changed my life. And I know for a lot of people, and I don't ever want to take away the severity or the trauma or the grief that people are experiencing, because so many people, if not everyone, either knows someone directly, like a relative, or had a friend or a friend of a friend who's battled with cancer and that awful thing. And so I never want to make light of that. But that there is a major turning point in my life, because it kind of shook me out of my comfortable lifestyle. I was in a comfortable job, comfortable hours. I enjoyed what I was doing. And out of that, the breaking open of that comfort zone birthed something that, to be honest, and I'm a man of faith. I've got my faith in Jesus Christ. He's my personal savior. It's God birthed something incredible from that awful, awful season of our family. And from that, I started writing down in a notebook, not too dissimilar to this one right here. I just started writing down little thoughts that inspired me, whether it was from messages or those podcasts. And so those years of investing in myself through those podcasts, those messages, those books, all kind of came out. And as I was preparing, and this was the opportunity where that preparation met my future. And this was the moment where I started writing down those thoughts. And after about a week of that, I almost see that as germinating the seed and watering the seed and really just planting that in a deep foundation and going, right. After 7 days of writing down those quotes, I thought, if they're inspiring me so much and lifting my head up for the future and giving hope from the future in such a dark moment of my life and my family's life, I thought, if they can give me hope and keep firing that flame and fueling that flame within, I wonder if anyone else could use this stuff. And I've written blog posts, like tiny little blog posts in the past that went out to literally dozens of people, which I thought was huge. And so Instagram is pretty fresh, and this is late 2013. And I thought, I'm just going to start sharing the things that inspire me in the hope that they can resonate with one, two, anybody in the world. And it's led me, I guess, into the story of Achieve the Impossible.
My man, that's awesome. That was that's crazy, dude. That's probably, that actually is the most legitimate story I've ever heard of someone as to why they got on Instagram. Most of the time it's because they want to, have the social credibility, or they want to make money. Because I got on Instagram to make money. That was my original goal. But with you, man, like that's really inspiring, dude, because you went through something that obviously was pretty traumatic, and then you turned that and you used that message to go try to help other people, and it's served you pretty well, if you have a brand.
And I think with my teaching background, I was very naive and innocent to what Instagram could be used for. Sure. If I'd been brought up in a business type or a marketing style background, I think the way I would have done Instagram would be much different. But I'm really, really grateful and humbled, to be honest, that my teaching was completely focused on the people. And then with my Instagram journey, it was completely focused on the people. And I remember a couple of years in when the first person approached me to say, hey, can we pay you to promote this, to post about this book I'm about to launch? I thought, what do you mean pay me? Like, if it's good and my audience likes it, I just post it. What do you mean, like, I get paid for this stuff? So I was really shocked. I thought this has got to be a scam, because I'm just doing genuinely what I'm so passionate about. And so I never went into it with money. And I often tell people, if you'd given me a snapshot of today, what it would look like with 1 million followers on that account, if you'd shown me that when I started 6 years ago, I think I genuinely would have been too fearful to even start on the journey. Because I would have thought, how the heck do I get to this place when I'm all the way back here? Yeah. What are the steps I have to take? I am not capable mentally to figure out all this stuff. I'm not the kind of person, and this is my 2013 style of thinking, where I thought, I don't even know how to do that. There's people all around the world, I'm sure a lot of people around the world, and the more and more people you talk to, the more you see it as well. People are getting desperate for that social credibility, for that sense of identity through that and a number and these kind of things. And I would have thought, no, I'm not the person for that. This is not who I want to be. I'm by no means a model or anything like that. I'm like, what do I have to give? But I guess journeying along step by step with just being true to myself, being true to the gift that God's put in me and the talents and the skills, and developing those over time, I think has been absolutely amazing. So I can see in the past 6 years, and even before that, God was prepping me until that diagnosis, and then from there, God's developing me. So
yeah,
it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, and it's continuing. That's the fun part too. It's continuing on, and I'm excited to get into some of the journey as well with you. But one thing, man, that is fascinating to me is, well, first off, I love your branding, right? So achieve the impossible. Like you went through something that could, seemed impossible at the time in your life to overcome, because it was out of your control, right? And then you went in and you did everything you could. And, I'm sure you guys had a lot of prayer, you had a lot of hope, a lot of things happened. And then it's like you went out there and you achieved the impossible. And I would like to think that your branding kind of came from that almost, whether you realized it or not, it probably just sparked that idea. But you stuck to that, and I think that's cool. Like your entire brand is all around that exact topic. It's like achieving the impossibilities, overcoming, the fears, the doubts, and the limiting beliefs that people have in any area of life, whether it's, mental, and it's just they're in a depression every day, or it's physical and, there's a physical health problem, or, it's spiritual and they're lost and they don't know where to go. And I know this stuff, man, because of just following you for years and watching your brand, like the messages that you put out, you can tell that, number one, you truly are actually passionate about them, and it's coming from you. And then number two is it's valuable, and those two things right there is why I believe, your brand is where it's at today, man. So, just congrats on that. I just want you to know that people are noticing that. I noticed that. I've been in the game pretty much just as long as you, it sounds like, but I've seen your stuff, for quite a long time. And so,
thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It means so much. And I think the lesson that I took out of that is, yes, the term achieve the impossible. I was literally, I was working my job as a teacher, and on a lunch break, I went to a cafe and I had my coffee, and I thought, right, if I'm going to start this Instagram page, I had no idea about Instagram. I think I had 40 something followers on my private. I wasn't even on Facebook. So not your typical social media influencer, because I have no idea about the other stuff. But I was sitting down having my coffee, and I thought, what is a name that describes the mission, the heart, and the purpose behind why I'm here? I was looking at other accounts. I thought, is the term quotes taken? Oh, damn it, quotes are taken. How about inspiration? How about this? How about this? And I really feel God said, just dig deeper, because it's not about what you're doing. It's about why you're doing it. And I really feel God just say, why are you creating this? Why have I put this in your heart? It is to inspire people to achieve the things that seem impossible. Because for me, in my personal faith, I know that my God is a God of the impossible.
Yeah.
And so long in my life, I labeled things as impossible, almost as a justification system to not pursue them. And I'm realizing now that we become the person we're truly capable of becoming, and not the achieving of the impossible, but in the pursuit of that impossible. And I think as long as we're on a journey that honestly we probably can't achieve in our own strength, in our own little, narrow, in our own capacity, living to our day-to-day, yep, this is me, this is in my little box, this is what I'm capable of, I might smash that open, because this world is not about you and what you can achieve by yourself as an individual. This world is about, right, number one, the dreams that God's given you in your heart, the mission, the purpose. Let's create that, and that passion deep down. And then let's partner that up with the skills, talents, and abilities that A, God's planted in you, but B, you are developing and cultivating on your own yourself. And then using what God's given and your life, bringing that preparation and that opportunity together to then go out and influence and build and develop the people around you. And I think it's in those sense of communities that we all grow as people, as society, as humanity. And I think it's so, so important that our eyes are always focused on what's impossible and the pursuit of that.
Amazing, my man. Just golden nuggets right there. That was phenomenal. So what I want to do is I want to dive a little bit into your brand. I want to talk a little bit about specifically the Achieve the Impossible brand, and then I want to move into the last part of the show. I want to spend some time in more of the faith realm, because you've obviously brought up God a lot. That's a huge part of the show, and I freaking love it, man. And it's clear as day that He's done so much in your life and continues to use you, which is so cool. So, but before we jump into that, let's jump into your brand. So the Achieve the Impossible, the ATI brand, over 1 million on Instagram. I know you're on other platforms too. You're freaking crushing it, dude. And I love how in the background, I wrote them down because I went and did some research. You have it in the background. It would have made it easy for me if I would have known that. It's hilarious. Yeah. I want to go through some of those, man. So you have an app. You have a podcast. You have a new book, which we'll talk about. You get paid. You do speaking gigs. And I want to chat about some of those things. But before we jump into that, one of the things, man, that I'm curious about, and I think is another just perfect reflection of what your brand stands for, is you launched a campaign, and I remember watching this live. I forget exactly when it was. I think it was last year, maybe earlier. But you launched a campaign of taking your brand to 1 million followers, and you had, I wrote down some of the numbers. You had about 9,000 followers to go. And in 36 hours to buy your birthday, your 30th birthday, to reach 1 million followers. I thought that was super cool. And it was crazy because you did it. You freaking crushed it. And I remember promoting you during that. Like, you were reaching out, like you were doing everything. So talk a little bit about that. What ignited that, and share a little bit of insight on kind of how you did that, and, just how the results, just, give us some context on that.
Do you know what I love about this? I personally haven't thought about this for a wee while, probably 6 months or so. I haven't even thought about that. And I think that's a great thing, because you can get caught up in where you are now, that you've kind of forgot the special moments that have got you to where you are.
Gotten you there, yeah. You take it for granted.
And I remember that, and that road to 1 million was a major boost in my confidence, dare I say it, my confidence in God, and in my confidence in my faith, and going, right, this is it. So I remember my 30th birthday was on Saturday, and I'd always had a dream by my 30th to be a millionaire. That didn't happen with money, and I'll be open to say that didn't happen with money. But I thought, maybe my purpose isn't about the money as much as it is the people. And I kind of switched that, and I thought, right, instead of making $1 million, let's reach 1 million lives through 1 million followers. It had kind of been tracking, but 2018 was a rough year for a lot of Instagrammers, with algorithm changes and a whole bunch of different things going on in the platform. And my beautiful, steady, comfortable, possible growth got very tricky. And I remember the year before, I even lost like a whole bunch of followers, and I was on the steady decline. I thought, freaked out then. That was 2017, but 2018. Fast forward to March. And this is a crazy, crazy thing. The Saturday was my 30th birthday. I had 991,000 followers, and I was growing at about 1,200 a week. And I knew that in what's possible, this would not just naturally grow. So I'd had 992 by my 30th birthday, and I thought 993. So I thought, damn it, this isn't going to happen. This is, and it had been that goal for the entire January, February, and March. March the 10th was my birthday. And so it's always in the back of my mind, January, February. Now I thought, and it was March whatever it is, March the 4th. And it was Monday night, and I went to bed at 991,000 followers. And I thought, no, I'd given up on that dream. I thought, it's not going to happen. And I was getting really, really downcast. And for a 30th birthday, you want to make a big deal of it. And my mates were saying, Pete, what's happening for your 30th? Like, what are we doing for it? Like, and I didn't even want to acknowledge the fact that I was turning 30, because 30 for me wasn't a celebration as much as it was a real confronting shove in your face. You did not achieve the thing you set out to achieve. Mm-hmm. And that hurt like hell. I was like, oh, this really, really sucks. I can't do this. And so I didn't even want to think about my birthday at all. Monday night, I went to bed and I just said to God, I've got nothing. I've got nothing in the tank. No idea what to do. I've pretty much conceded defeat. And I remember Tuesday morning I woke up and that 991 just flipped over to 992, as it did every week. But something clicked in me. It was almost like the click of a starter motor, just like boom, boom, boom. And I was like, whoa, hold on, this is... And I got obsessed with that small image of that 1 and scrolling down to refresh, turning into a 2. And something birthed within me. It was like God lit a match and goes, Pete, you've got the kindling, you've got the fire, you've got the timber, sorry. I'm going to light the match. You take it from here and go for it. And I had the most insane burst of inspiration. And remember, I'd lived this journey out for months and months and months. This is not something that I thought, oh yeah, I'll give this a go. I'd tried this for months. I'd tried to build up that inspiration and that courage for months. And that Tuesday, I thought, stuff it. If I get to my 30th birthday and I look in the mirror and said, Pete, you could not honestly tell you that you did everything. You did not do everything you could have done. And I did not want to get to that thing, because I said to myself, if you, on the 30th, if you haven't done it, you look yourself in the eye and have a serious chat and say, did I make the most of it? And so I thought, I'm going to go for this. I'm absolutely going to go for this. So I reached out to a few of the people who I had built that connection with. I wasn't just reaching out to any random account that followed me. I was reaching out to people I had that genuine connection with that I built up over the last 5 years. And I said, hey guys, here's my goal, here's my mission. It seems impossible, but what better way to achieve the impossible than to do it with my entire community, and to do it in front of my entire community in the most visual, in the most common way any Instagrammer can grow and achieve a milestone, that 1 million milestone, achieving the impossible in 4 days. And I remember and I guess it was the shock, but it was an emotional shock. It was a joyful shock. It was just the most, just the most heartwarming shock ever, of people jumping in to the call to action and going, dude, yes, let's do this. We've got you back. We can do this. And it's like people just marching behind me going, yep, we believe in the vision. We know what you stand for. We love it. Let's go. I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. So I had people all around the world posting. These are famous models, famous actors, famous whatever, of people that I had that connection with that were jumping on. And I honestly think they were jumping on because it was part of an impossible dream. If I'd said to them, hey, I want to reach under 500 followers, which for me was very doable with achievement. I want to reach under 500. I want to get to 995 by my birthday. It could have been possible. The moment I decided we'd pursue the impossible, people rallied around and thought, I want to be a part of something that achieves the impossible. And so I thought, let's give it a go. I have no idea what's going to happen. And I knew that there was a risk of burning bridges in this as well, and asking for favors. If I had not been giving, and I'm asking a question and asking that favor, there is a real, that could be that real friction there. But I realized that through my message, through my journey, and me doing just what I'm passionate about, by default, I am giving to these people, and the people were getting inspired by this. And so the moment people started saying, yes, I'm joining them, within 36 hours, we had reached over 10,000 new followers. And I remember that moment, I hit that million. Like, people would get like, there was time where I'd get a follower every second or every 2 seconds. And I was just like, what the heck is happening here? This is the most unrealistic, impossible thing. And I was documenting that entire journey from the very beginning, before I'd even messaged people or thought about direct messaging a whole bunch of people that I had that connection with. I thought, right, guys, let's do this together. Like, let's achieve something that seems impossible together. We smashed that million mark with the next, I think it was the Thursday, in 36 hours, smashed that million mark, and then it just kept rolling from there. And I thought, this is a beautiful reflection of people rallying together to support someone's dream, someone's vision, then that seems impossible. And I know that stood out to me so much more than if I just gradually just work my way out. And I don't think, even like that impossible goal, like I said 995 could be seen as a possible goal. If I sent those messages out at the 1st of January and said, guys, in 2 months and 10 days is my birthday, I want to hit this target. It's so possible. It's so doable. That doesn't stir something up within us. I think the moment we go through my procrastination, the moment we go, right, I've left this way too late and I am absolutely desperate. And sometimes I think that's the moment we need to get to in life, to actually make a serious change that we can tell a story to thousands of people of the next year. To go, right, I was desperate. I was backed into a corner. I could have easily said, no, life, you won. I'm not going to hit 1 million by my 30th. This is fine, whatever. But I thought, with that one little ounce of strength I've got left, I'm going to use everything I can. And sometimes it just takes one little spark of a match to light the thing that you've been building for so long, to turn that into an amazing burning fire and passion. So I was so grateful for everyone jumping in on that, but it really just stood out to me that says, right, nothing's impossible. In my whole mind, I was questioning. I was like, this totally seems impossible. This sucks. But then, exactly like we were saying, I just brought it to God first in private and said, God, I don't know what to do. God, lit that match. All of a sudden, people started coming around, because people will always be attracted to people who are passionate and on fire about something they are truly passionate about. So,
absolutely.
It was a huge moment for that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And so do you think ever since then, because obviously, clearly, that was a pretty big accomplishment in your own life, which respectively so. I mean, that's incredible, especially coming, someone like myself who understands the game of Instagram. What you did is pretty insane. And so do you think that that accomplishment kind of bled into other areas of your life that have nothing to do with Instagram, but just, again, mental, physical, spiritual, relationships, social, business, entrepreneurship, anything, your relationship with God, things like that? Do you feel that because of that accomplishment, because you did something and you accomplished a really big goal, a really big dream that, again, seemed impossible, do you think that kind of helped you later on and, moving forward in life, in other areas? Like, it kind of gave you that confidence, like, hey, I'm facing another challenge. It seems impossible, but look what I did back here. And so I believe that this can happen. And then you kind of maybe went in and, and did the whole, process again, where you visualized it, you prayed, whatever that process is. But is that fair to say? Did that happen?
It's a definite reminder that I can achieve the impossible with God's help. I think for me, it was all about creating that momentum, and that was just continuing to build that momentum. And that was a really, really big push to further develop momentum. Throughout that year and the 6 months, I guess, before that, I had a huge personal impossible. I was very unhealthy, very unhappy and unhealthy. I was quite overweight, and I went through a big emotional transformation. I think on the outside, it looks like a big physical transformation. I lost about 60 pounds.
Wow.
And it was a physical transformation to anyone looking on. But to me, I don't see it as a physical weight loss as much as it was an emotional weight loss. And I was just speaking at an event in Hawaii last week, and it was, and I was telling a little bit of the story behind it. And I said, I always thought that when my outside looked good, my inside would feel good. And I said, I tried diets. I was always unhappy about my weight. I was very self-conscious. I was extremely insecure. I very, very, very much hated being alone in public. I thought anybody who laughed in a vicinity of, 100 yards of me was because of me, or people looking at me. I was very, very crippled by this insecurity and self-consciousness. And I remember thinking, the moment I feel good on the outside, I'll feel good on the inside. That shifted. And I think it was a combination of things as well. But that weight loss, I thought, right, I am worthy on the inside. My identity is not in my weight. It is in who God says I am. And from that, because I felt that way for the first time within myself, my thoughts, my actions, my behaviors, my habits reflected that. And because I felt good enough, because I felt that I was someone worthy of living a healthy life, worthy of exercising, worthy of putting the best food I can find in my body, that reflected out in the outside in a weight loss transformation. And I think it's impossible. And that for me, to be honest, personally, was a major push in momentum. And then in March 2018, when I hit that 1 million followers and reached those lives there and that milestone, which is massive, like say, in the Instagram community, that was another push to go, right, Pete, you've achieved the impossible. Like, with God, anything is possible. Yeah. And I think that momentum, but then like you say, like we're in a new year now, 2020. A lot of people can go, right, what's looking for? Is that possible? Is this possible? What direction am I going here? What am I doing with this? Honestly, the best way to inspire yourself looking forward is to see the times that God pulled you out of something looking back. And I think those moments with the weight loss transformation, that milestone with 1 million followers, things that seemed impossible to me, I'm going, right, yes, with God's help, I did achieve the impossible because I was developing myself and I brought to the table things that, helped me do that. And then looking forward, the things, the goals, the vision that seems impossible, I'm like, boom, he's done it before, he'll do it again. And it's not so much about what I have the strength and the power and capacity to do. It's more, right, what's down this path? I'm going to be as prepared as I can be, physically, emotionally, spiritually, business-wise, financially, and prepare myself for whatever opportunity that comes my way, and then meet that as it comes. Yeah,
that's amazing, man. That's amazing. Yeah, it's like going through life, everyone faces different challenges in all different categories of life, and they never end. That's the thing too. That's something I used to get caught up on. I used to think like, I just have to get over this one like hurdle in my life and then everything will be good. And it's like, that's a false reality. That's not how it works. And what I truly do believe is like when those challenges come, it's partly, your free will and your responsibility to do everything you can to overcome that challenge. But then relying on God along the way is how you're really going to do it fully, right? You plus God, and it's like you can take down anything. And so, yeah, man. And then it's like what happens, and I've noticed this in my own life, and this is why I asked you that question, and your answer was amazing, and I figured it would be like that, because what happened, the same thing happened in my own life, where the more of these challenges, little, medium, big, the more I started to rack these up, right? I started to tally them, like, okay, this happened to me, I overcame it. This happened to me, I overcame it. This happened to me, I overcame it. Then it's like now challenges come in, and it's like my mind, instead of going to how in the world am I going to do this, right? I'm terrified, I'm scared. It goes to, well, I did this last time. God got me through this last time in a different form. And, we rocked through this and everything. And not only did we get through it, but life it became better, right? I like evolved as a person, right? My mindset and, my mental, my physical, my spiritual things got better. And because of that challenge, right? It sharpened me. And so, yeah, man, I just think that's, it's a powerful message for people to hear, because it really is true, and again, everyone goes through them. Everyone has valleys, but you're going to have mountaintops, and it's life's a journey, man. And I almost named this podcast that, so it's just part of it. It's part of it.
And I think we can be so caught up in the seasons, because we go through desperate seasons.
And we get comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. And we get comfortable, and we almost get a little bit complacent with what we've been given and think, right, let's just cruise. But then there's always that season. For me, the difficulties, my insecurity with my weight loss led me to achieving the impossible with my health transformation. The insecurities, that fear, that uncomfortability of thinking I won't achieve this major goal I had by the time I'm 30 led me to achieve the impossible. So whenever you enter a season that seems impossible, exactly what we said, whatever area in life it may be, that's when you've got to think, right, this is the setup for the breakthrough. And because this seems so daunting, so overwhelming, so impossible for me to achieve, the moment you let it go and like, right, God, this is out of my hands because I can't see a way to make this happen. No matter what area of life it is, let it go and prepare for that breakthrough. But you do everything you can as well.
Right.
But have that trust in the unknown, have that belief, not just in yourself, but in the path ahead and the journey and faith. And really just go, right, I'm heading into the season. I know there's a storm coming up. And that's the thing with storms, you can see them coming in. But storms don't last forever. And no matter whether you're on the sea and getting belted by those waves, whether you're on the land and there's thunder, there's lightning, there's everything, storms develop you. And they make your roots grow deeper. The atmosphere, the environment, the earth needs storms. The earth needs thunder and lightning storms to chill out the magnetic energy. That's not the scientific term, to chill out magnetic energy, but there's all this research I did. It was last year, so I forgot it now. But why the earth needs storms? Because I thought, just like in our own life, we need storms to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah.
For a tree, the trees that are in storms, it makes sense. They have the deepest roots and they have the greatest capacity. For my life, storms are going to come. For your life, storms will come. For every single person listening, there will be times where there are storms. Some people may be in a storm now. Some people may be getting out of a storm now. Those storms really are affected by your perception of them and your perspective when you head into them. When I head into one, I think, right, this is, I've got to prepare and do everything I can before the storm comes. When the storm comes, it's one day at a time. And I think that's the greatest thing about the future. So many of us, when we're in that storm, can think, oh my God, this is going to last forever. What do we do? How do I get out? I can't see the road ahead. I can't see the road behind. I'm stuck in this land with all the storm surrounding me. Life's falling apart around me. It is one day at a time. And no storm comes to you on accident. This storm has its breakthrough. And that breakthrough is setting you up for a complete another level, which you cannot access without going through and developing and learning and digging your roots down deep in this season right now. Storms are here for you. They're not happening to you, they're happening for you. And I truly believe that every single time a storm comes, our roots go deeper, our faith grows deeper, our purpose, our mission, our destiny, whatever you believe in personally, that storm helps us because we need whatever we're learning, whatever we're developing for our next season.
So much value, bro. I love it. I love it. You're killing it. So much value. I heard a quote one time, and it's always stuck with me. And he said, it was a guy on stage one time, and he said, in order to have a breakthrough in your life, you have to break something first. And I thought that was so powerful because it's aligned with literally what you just said. And, it's like you're putting a positive light on what a lot of people look as negative, right? These storms, whatever they may be in whatever area of life they may be. People always are like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Or they're waiting on God to do something. And it's like, but those storms are coming in because they're part of life's journey and they're there to help you grow. They're there to break whatever's going on in your life in order to help you get to that next level of life, that you've been looking for. And so, I love that, man. That's so good. It's so good. Incredible. All right, let's dive into your brand a little bit here. So your book, let's talk. I want to shed some light on that. You just launched a new book, the Achieve the Impossible book. What is it, man? What's going on with that?
I have it right here. Let me show you. Those who are watching on video have this amazing book in front of them with a big white ATI and a black background.
Yes.
Those listening on audio are just hearing my soulful voice. So both ways, you're winning. It's Achieve the Impossible. And really, I wanted something for my audience on Instagram in particular to be able to connect on a deeper level in the real world. Something physical, something we can touch. I am obsessed with paperback books. I can't, for the life of me, do books on my phone, on the iPad, laptop, whatever. I try the Audible thing and I do that, but then I always just naturally go back to podcasts because they're short little snippets. And I was thinking I would love to read some of my stuff in the most humble way. Say that in the least douchey way. I want to read my stuff in an actual paperback book. I don't want to have to go onto a phone and go into a flippin' full flooded social media platform full of content, full of everything trying to grab my attention to get that little touch of inspiration. And so I wrote this book in very small mini chapters so that anybody, first thing in the morning, last thing at night, jumping on a plane, waiting in the doctor's office, no matter where you are, even if you've just got a couple of minutes in your day to read something, and those things that I've written have the purpose and the mission to breathe life into an impossible dream. For this here, it's all about, right, you can achieve the impossible, no matter what you're facing, exactly what we were talking about before. So the book is filled with many chapters on topics like faith, like trust, like self-belief, talking about obstacles, talking about fear, talking about risk, all of these things, and journeying people just through many, many chapters to achieve their impossible dreams. Because everybody goes through those seasons from time to time, and I think sometimes it can just be that thought. I've got a mate, Daniel Flynn, who started a beautiful company here in Australia and off to New Zealand, and big plans, in the future, called Thank You. And it's a beautiful, beautiful charity that sells water and other goods to donate to charities and to,
That's awesome.
His mission's amazing. And he says to me, he's a really good friend, he's like the thought that cuts through. And I want to achieve the impossible, to be full of thoughts that cut through the day-to-day stress, cut through that impossible situation that we're facing, cutting through that storm, to go boom. And it can often just be a word or a sentence or a phrase that you hear that cuts through the day-to-day and has that power to change your perspective, that sows that seed of hope, of life, of love for whatever you're facing. And so, and that book has actually gone amazing. I just messaged my book printer, or whoever's dealing with the book printer here in Australia yesterday, and I said, dude, we have not only sold out, but we've actually oversold all these books that I've been signing and sending personally. And so I've oversold those, so we need to do a quick, urgent second print run because people are loving them. They're buying
That's
them.
Amazing.
So they're shipping them out. A week later, I get a message back saying, oh my gosh, I need to get one for my girlfriend, I need to get one for this person, this person, this person. Even my own Nana, she's 80 a lot years old. And as Nanas have to be, she's biased though. So I sent her one because I'm a gorgeous grandson. And she wrote back and she's like, I need 6 more. This is a flippin' amazing book. So yeah.
That's so cool, man.
And if,
so cool.
My Nana loves it, oh my gosh, you guys
right.
love it too.
That's so amazing. And people can get it at, I know they can get it on your Instagram right now, but for people listening to this in the future, in case it changes, what is the name of the website?
So my website itself is achievingtheimpossible.com. The book may or may not be sold out by that stage. All of those come through me, and I like to sign them and personalize every single copy. So if you want a signed, personalized copy, head to achievingtheimpossible.com. I will be shipping them from my home of Australia. So shipping is a little bit more expensive for that, but hey, it's worth it to, get my beautiful handwriting on there. I try not to be too messy, so it's at least readable. But if you don't want to do it through that, you can just go to Amazon, Book Depository, Barnes & Nobles, anywhere online, and look for that white ATI on the black book.
Amazing. I love it, man. So that's your most recent project. I saw that you've been promoting that a lot, which is amazing. And that's congrats to you. That's so cool that you've sold out already. That's awesome. Prior to that though, like you have in your board back there, you put out these big goals, it looks like, that, you want to accomplish. And, based on my research, you've done quite a bit of those, and if not all of them. And so, give us a breakdown, talk about, a few of those, if you will. The app, I know you have an app, your own ATI app, which is incredible. I was checking it out on the App Store the other day. I know you had, do you still do your podcast? I know you launched one, or is that something you're still, okay,
I
cool.
do. It's something that's almost been on the back burner for the last couple of months, but we're smashing back into it for 2020, which is exciting.
Amazing, yes. All right, cool, man, cool.
But
talk about those.
So again, those on the visuals will be able to see my beautiful presenter hand pointing at all these things. So yeah, and this thing was just really, was it 5? Yeah. 5 things that I really wanted to focus on for this year. And it's not a massive detailed how and a journey and what's going to happen, but I thought, what different ways can I express my mission and my purpose? Because you think, yes, you've got 1 million followers on Instagram, but each of those people relate to content a different way. Some of them will just be on Instagram, and that's perfect. Some of them will be reading the book. Others will want a more audio thing. And so I've got the podcast to cater to those people. And others want that more one-on-one style and are prepared to invest in that one-on-one coaching, to have that chat with me. What else have I got? The book? Yeah, absolutely, we've got that. And a little bit of speaking as well. But the Achieve the Impossible app, which is available on the Apple App Store. So sorry, Android people, we're seeing what we can do with that. But Apple for now is where it's at on the iOS. So it's just under Achieve the Impossible. And I was really, because people learn different ways, and I guess that's my teaching background coming through as well. Now I'm seeing it as useful as it ever has been, to be honest, because I'm dealing. And we're not dealing, I'm speaking into people, I'm doing life, I'm connecting with people on a daily basis. And I know the different learning styles, and I know the different ways people retain information and content. And yes, Instagram, you've got your short form, the book, you've got your paperback, your physical, your tactile learning. With the app, you've got a slightly longer form and a more structured. So with the app, the Achieve the Impossible app, I have different series on there, like through time management, through goal setting. So much more practical, strategical content that people can pick up and learn. So there's a lot of inspiration mixed in there, but there's also a lot of the practical strategies that maybe don't really work on Instagram as well in terms of being able to create that flow and that structure that I'd like. But then on the app, it is a subscription model, and so every single day you get a inspirational message and a cool little wallpaper you can download, but you can also search each message through series. Like I say, there's a whole bunch of content on there. I showed someone the other day who knew of it but had never seen it before, and they thought, oh my gosh, there is that much freaking content on this app. This is ridiculous. She's like, is there a message under each and every single one of those wallpapers? I'm like, yeah, it's not just a wallpaper. There's like a full-on, almost blog post style message, whether it's inspiring, whether it's talking about self-belief, faith, trust, fear, faith, whatever, or whether it's more practical with the goal setting, time management, night routines, morning routines, whatever it is. So it's
incredible, man.
That's my little portfolio of at this stage.
Covering all the bases. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Awesome. Yeah, I love it. And all of that's available on just right under Instagram too. Achieve the Impossible on Instagram, just one word. You guys can definitely check that out. So moving into this last segment, man, I want to dive into some of the faith, side of things, because like I kind of mentioned to you before getting on this show, a huge goal and a mission and a passion and something, a purpose I believe is from God, given to me, is to kind of bridge that gap between entrepreneurship and faith. Because there's a lot of people out there, especially in the social media world, that are these, high level entrepreneurs, right? And you have your everyday entrepreneurs, and you have these people just going out there striving for greatness, talking about success and money and achievement and goals, and all that stuff is so amazing. And then you have people that are, in the faith realm of things, whether they're a pastor or they're just totally just, putting up quotes about God every day or whatever it is. And I feel like there's a gap. There's a big gap right now in in society, especially online, kind of merging those two things together. You hear people, some of these bigger guys, like an Ed Mylett, for example, a big time entrepreneur. Well, he'll bring up God and he'll talk about God a little bit, but it's not like the theme of his podcast. It's not on every episode. And that's something that I have always felt kind of called to do. And I also do believe that, especially in today's world, you and I and other, quote unquote influencers, people who just simply have a following of any kind, whether it's on social media or just in, an actual just day-to-day life, whether it's, business or meetings or whatever, we're called to, as believers, we're called to go out there and spread the message. And we're called to, use our platforms for good, right? We're called to use those platforms to spread, God's word and his glory, to other people. And so, that's something that, again, that I love to do and I'm excited about. And so, with you, man, you've been doing that for a long time, right? So this is something that I admire and I think is just so awesome. I made the decision about like 2 years ago, 1.5, 2 years ago, to really start to transition my brand into more of like a personal brand. And actually use the platform for what I just said, for, God's glory. And because prior to that, I wasn't really doing that. And it was just kind of felt like a waste. Right. And so when I made that decision to do that, things just started really moving, of course, and, the blessings started coming. But I noticed, following you for a long time, man, one of the things that is just so cool about your page is that you already kind of do that. A lot of your posts are very spiritually driven. A lot of your posts talk about God and faith, belief, you know, in the Bible and things like that. And you put out the Bible verses every now and then. And I think that's just absolutely incredible. And so the question I have for you is, and from your own words, what role does faith play in your life, but also in your business?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And for the journey, just before I get into these questions, I'll probably forget them by the time I finish this little spiel.
Sure.
But in terms of achieving impossible, when I started, I thought I have my faith, but my content is going to just be things that inspire me. And at the start, I wasn't expecting to have any aspect of traditional faith in there or mentioning God or anything like that. I thought, no, I have that myself, but my content and my business will be completely separate.
Exactly what I did.
Yeah, and I'm more than comfortable with my faith in God and Jesus Christ for myself personally. I don't want to be seen as ramming religion down somebody's throat. I don't want to be that guy. I don't appreciate it when people, do it to me. I'm like, I'm not going to force anything. I'm not going to do anything like that. So I was almost scared of putting God in there at the start because I knew that I didn't want to ostracize people. I didn't want anyone to feel like this wasn't for them because they believe something differently. And so as I started that journey and my content got more and more genuine, more and more of a reflection of who I am, and I especially noticed a change when I started my personal brand, which is Peter J. Bone on Instagram as well. I started sharing more thoughts that were vulnerable, that were genuine, that were very personal to myself and the seasons that I was going through as well. And as a reflection of that, I started to share more about my faith and what had helped me, because I think with content on social media, and we've done it for so long, and I've been guilty of this as well, is that we just show the good stuff. We show the highlight reel, and that's what we do. With my personal account, I was doing that for so long, and I thought, there's got to be something more real. And everyone, this is 2016, 2017, everyone's jumping on Instagram, content's just flooding the market. And I thought, I don't want to see just a whole bunch of fake, whatever, and just highlight reels of people's lives. And so I started sharing things that I was going through myself, the personal stuff, the weight loss stuff, and just being vulnerable. The moment I chose to be vulnerable and think, right, I'm going to be authentic, I'm going to be genuine, I'm going to be true to myself. I'm not going to write content as such because of what other people expect. I'm going to write content as a reflection of myself to be true and as authentic as possible. The moment I did that, not the algorithm, but the statistics, boom, went absolutely crazy in the space of 3 months. I tried it for 3 months. I thought, Pete, every morning you're going to go down to the beach, which is 5 minutes away from my house here, and I started walking. The first thing I did was put my headphones in and think, God, whatever you want to speak to me today, whatever you want me to write, whatever you want me to share, I'll do it. Just go for it. In those 3 months, my engagement grew by 400%. Wow. It was the most ridiculous polar difference in everything I was doing. And people were saying, oh my gosh, I need to hear this. I'm reading this right now, tears down my face. This. The timing is perfect. I love that comment so much. People saying the timing, this couldn't have been at a better time. I'm getting direct messages saying, I don't know how, but post after post after post you're doing is hitting me at the exact right moment when I'm asking God for it. And that there meant so much more than fire and 100 emojis, on Achieve the Impossible. I thought, this is more than just inspiring people. This is inspiring a life. This is connecting people closer to themselves, closer to God, closer to their purpose, their mission. This isn't just a nice little word to give them a bit of positivity for a few moments. This is connecting people to the one I believe gave life. And so I thought, oh my gosh, as my people started to do it, my passion grew and grew and grew, because I saw it wasn't me trying to give information to change someone's life. It was me as a highway, as a little conduit pipe to go, nah, it's not about me. This is about God, and I'm going to share to you whatever God's speaking to me. Hopefully he can work through me to reach you. And that had so much more power than just that Pete to follower connection there. And from then I thought, right, this is going to be a platform that is going to be as genuine, as authentic to myself as possible. I started Achieve the Impossible on day one with the mission to inspire, challenge, and equip people to achieve their impossible. It has been only me. There has never been anyone else who has posted anything, whether it's a comment, a like, a post, nothing. I've never used other software. I've never done anything. Anything you see on Instagram has been done through me, whether it's my personal Peter J. Bone, whether it's Achieve the Impossible. And I know a lot of people, don't do that because they're more business minded, to be honest. But I thought, whatever I post, I want to be genuine enough. Whatever Achieve the Impossible stuff I post and my branded content, whatever I put my name to and say that I've done, I want to be a true, genuine reflection of who I am and the journey I've been on. Because if I'm posting stuff that isn't from me in terms of writing down content that I think will just inspire people, but I'm not living it, I don't think I'm doing a favour to anyone. So that faith just happened to be, because it's such a massive part of my life, the foundation for what I was doing, what worked out into a business sense. And I think that anybody who works with me in terms of a client don't necessarily have to believe what I believe, but it does have to pass through the filter. And my audience and my followers and my community going to be inspired, challenged, or equipped through this content, and does this content live. I've had to say no to, and because of that, the way it works out is it's a clean Instagram account, so there's no language, there's no crazy stuff. I put a very strong filter on it because that's how I want to live my life.
Right.
And then, if there is a questionable 50-50, I think my mum is the biggest follower, the biggest supporter. First equal with my partner, obviously. They'll argue over that after this when they hear that. And I thought, right, do I want my mum seeing this? Do I want my mum reading this? I've got a young cousin. I know she's following this. I thought, do I want her, seeing it? Am I comfortable sharing it? So I've said no to some names that every single person listening to this will know because of the bad language. And I'm saying to people who are absolutely killing it in the social game with a household name and going, hey, listen, buddy, I can't use that because the language. And those people have often come back to me with my own specific custom clean content to post on. And I think that's really, really amazing to be able to stay true to myself. And it's literally just saying no to money right in your face, saying no to income, no to revenue. You think, I can actually deal with that. No one's really going to notice. People expect it, but I thought, no, I've really got to be true to myself. And as Achieve the Impossible continues, and I love that word that you said, even at the beginning, it's continuing. As Achieve the Impossible continues, as Peter J. Bone continues, I want it to be more and more authentic to myself. My commercial interest, my posting is getting less and less and less. And I'm really just wanting to focus on content that is as authentic, as genuine, and as a true reflection of that connectedness with my audience. So
yeah, that's it.
I hope that roundabout answers some of the question.
Yeah, man. No, you're good. You're good. No, it definitely did. I mean, it's clear as day, man. It's clear as day that, God plays a massive role in everything you do, your day-to-day decisions, your business, your life, everything you have going on. And I just wanted the audience to hear that, and I think they did, just from that, you talking about that. And I just think that's so amazing, like I said, I find it fascinating bringing on influential people onto the show and having them share, stories about their encounters with God and then talking about just, incorporating God into their lives and into their business. Because the reality is, man, there's going to be people that are, on the fence, that are borderline, that are entrepreneurs when it comes to business side of things and their personal life side of things. But when it comes to the spiritual side of things, they're questioning, they're not really sure. Right. Or maybe they have doubts, or maybe they don't even believe at all. And they hear this, right? And they respect people like myself, people like you, people like, other big time people that are on here, and it plants a seed. And that's all we can do. That's what we're asked to do, to go out there and plant a seed. And that's exactly what you're doing right now. And I love that. So with that said, man, I honestly, we need to have a part 2 because we're crushing this, and not just out of respect to your time. I don't all night, but we really do, because this is amazing. But I wanna get into the last 2 questions, man, because I have a feeling that you're gonna share some, again, just some more value bombs on this. The last 2 questions that I ask every single guest that I have on here. Number 1 is, well, first off, for this show, a huge other piece of it is what I personally want to do is interview what I deem visionaries, right? So people that are, visionaries in life, and I want to interview them to get inside of the minds of themselves and understand, how they think, how they look at the world, what's their perception of things, in every category of life. And so, the question is to you, how do you define a visionary?
Mm-hmm. I define a visionary as somebody who sees with their eyes, not just sight, but then sees through their heart and their eyes combining. And I think that's the difference between sight and vision. Sight is we can just look with our eyes and it's just eyes, and that is a direct reflection of the reality that we're perceiving around us. The moment we tap into vision, we tap into a completely different level. And that is when our heart is seeing through our eyes. And you're not just seeing what is now, but vision sees what could be. And that could be a vision for society, for the human race. That could be a vision for a business. That could be a vision for a relationship. That could even be a vision for yourself personally, through health, through whatever it is. But I think that vision is the purest reflection of what could be through your heart.
That's incredible. I love that. It's so good, man. It's so good. Question number 2. the second question that I have, and the other piece to kind of my mission statement with this show is what I really hope to do, man, is inspire people, but I also want to inspire them to live to their fullest potential. But I also want to help people discover their purpose, because I know for me, that was something that even to this day, it's always been kind of like in the back of my mind. It's something I pray about a lot. And I really do feel called that this podcast is playing a massive role in that. Yeah. But for other people listening, there's a lot of people in this world, man, that, they're purposeless, right? They don't know what to do, right? They wake up and they do the same routine every day. They're not fulfilled. And a lot of these people are believers, right? They already believe in in God and in the Bible. They're Christians, right? And yet they're still having trouble with why am I here? What's the purpose of all of this? And so, I hope to inspire people through the show. And one of the ways that I thought to do that is finding people like yourself, who are very purpose driven and extracting some of that information like we've done on today's episode. So the last question that I have for you is how does someone find their purpose? How does someone go out there and discover their purpose? What would you say if someone came to you and asked you that question? Hey, Peter, how do I go out there, man? And how do I find my own purpose for myself?
And this is, I think, one of the most common questions that I get asked. And it's interesting that people are asking. Sometimes it's on a podcast because of the people want to know this. Sometimes it's just a one-on-one. Sometimes it's something after I spoke in Hawaii last week. Someone comes up to me, but what if I don't know what my purpose is? I'm not sure about this or about that. And I think so often we can just see people and divide them in half and go, you guys know your purpose. You don't know your purpose. We've got purpose deep within inside each and every single one of us. Like you said before, it's that seed. Sometimes that purpose takes a longer time to reveal itself on the outside. Some of us are very, very fortunate to be living what we think our purpose is. But just because you can't see your purpose yet doesn't mean you cannot be working towards it. And I think there's a couple of things that I recommend. And of course, there's no cookie cutter answer to this here because it's one of the most difficult questions any person in the inspiration world could ever get asked. I'm sure Tony Robbins or someone could answer it better. But this is just for me what I feel is one of the better ways to discover that purpose. It's just being self-aware and to know a little bit about what drives you, about the passion. And it doesn't have to be, this is the things I'm passionate about, A, B, C, blah, 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 blah. It could be those moments in the day where you walk past someone, they may be homeless, and something just stirs in your heart to go, oof, that hurt. It could be something seeing in a business, or it could be some awful, horrible tragedy you've seen on TV, or you've read something that lights a fire within you that is not a reflection of your day-to-day life at this stage. So you could come home from work at, from the 9 to 5, see something, and it's not just, hitting your sight that you're not just seeing it. It's something your heart picks up and goes, boom, hold on, there's something in there. And I think being aware of those moments, within those being self-aware, I truly think the more we can get to know ourselves and our identity and what our identity is in, we will discover our purpose. Whether that's through God, whether that's through your own belief, your own religion, your own upbringing experiences, whatever it is, connect as much as you can to that. Because that at the end of the day is the source of who you are. For me, as a Bible-based person with a massive faith in Jesus Christ, he's my everything, I would recommend that. But that, and I'm sure you would too, Alex, that's just from our experience and our belief. And I'm not here to throw my religion and jam it down anyone's throat, because I'm sure everyone's had enough of that. But for me, that's just what I can recommend. And time with that, time with Jesus, time with God, reading his Bible, reading things that you know are the breathed word of God. For me, myself, I can say that for whatever religion, you can, go and put time into that. And I think it's those quiet times that seed germinates and that sprout comes up through the ground. I don't think it's going to be a roaring major just tree trunk just smashing its way through the earth. Oh my God, yes, I found my purpose. It's that thing. But you've got to be so careful of it as well. And I think the other thing that can make that purpose reveal itself and grow with time is the way you speak to it and the way you're speaking to yourself. There's a scripture that says faith comes by hearing, and for us hearing by the word of God. And I think the way we speak, the way we hear what we're saying is so, so crucial to our faith getting that life it needs to flourish and to grow, to discover, to eventuate into a purpose. And I think we've got to be looking after ourselves. So if you're running around saying, I don't know my purpose, I don't know my person, what am I here for, what am I here for, what am I here for? That's just like stomping all over the ground that you've just planted these seeds in. Like for this here, you can be hearing this and think, right, this is the seed. Don't start trampling on it and then just digging it up tomorrow and go, oh, is the seed, oh, that's not my purpose, that couldn't have been right. No, take some time, speak life into yourself, fuel that dream, fuel those passions. Your purpose reveals itself after a day-to-day consistent effort of speaking life, getting closer to your identity, connecting to whatever you believe your life source is, and just really just day by day working towards that. It does not show up overnight all the time. Sometimes it reveals itself even after the action, and you can look back and go, hold on, I've been doing this thing for 6 months, and I've realized with time this has actually developed into my purpose.
That's incredible, man. It's incredible. Self-awareness. Some of the things I took, self-awareness. You talked about spending time with God. I believe that all purpose comes from him. Patience, right? / time. That's what you just threw in there. And then another part of it as well, just again, we've said this word a few times, but the journey, right? It's not like you said, it's not something that's just going to pop up out of the ground one night and then boom, that's your purpose. That's what you do for the rest of your life. Most of the time, right? I'm sure there's exceptions, but for most of the time it is going to be something where, like you said, you're feeling, your everyday excitements, passions, ideas, things like that. And then those are going to eventually turn into, like again, 6 months down the road, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I really figured out what I want to do. Incredible. I absolutely love it. Man, you crushed this. This was so much fun. I hope you had a good time. You shared
I loved it.
Incredible information, dude. People are gonna freak out when they listen to this. So I really appreciate it. Where can people find you? I've obviously dropped your Instagram handle quite a bit. Is there anywhere else? Obviously, achievetheimpossible.com, Achieve the Impossible on Instagram. Is there anywhere else, or are those kind of the main platforms?
To connect with me and see my amateur modelling photos, you can go on Peter J-Bone. Not .com. You can't, there is a .com, but just head on to the Instagram at Peter J-Bone. That's where you'll be able to connect with me individually through Achieve the Impossible. Obviously, my content's on there. The app, Achieve the Impossible app on the Apple App Store. Just search Achieve the Impossible, and it's that white ATI on the black background that you'll see on the book, on the app, on the Instagram, everything like that. You just look for that white ATI black background, and you'll find an app, book, Instagram, whatever it is, and it's all yours. But yeah, I'd love to connect with you guys, and hopefully you can hear the passion that both Alex and I have for connecting. We're not just about the numbers on Instagram. If we were, we'd be doing a whole bunch of different stuff that we are right now. It's about connecting with individual lives, and if we can help in any way, it's, we absolutely love doing what we're doing. So it's always a pleasure to hear from you guys individually. So drop a line, say g'day, DM, whatever, and I'll see what I can do to get in contact with you.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. If you guys like this episode, make sure you go reach out and connect with Peter on his platforms. Appreciate you for jumping on here, my man. And until next time, we'll see you guys.